It's my pleasure to invite the second speaker, Dr. Rasheed Al Hammadi. He is a Division Director, Medical Research and Development, Center for Research and Innovation, Abu Dhabi Department of Health, to speak about Abu Dhabi medical research experience. Thank you, Dr. Hammadi.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I think my talk will be a bit unconventional, and in a sense that I'm representing Abu Dhabi Department of Health, and from purely regulative and regulation aspect of our medical research experience. I will not rely that much on my presentation. However, I will try to navigate through them as quickly as possible. Research and innovation, the Medical Research Division is part of an overall research and innovation center, which has been in our organizational structure for the past 2 years as part of our overall regulation system of our healthcare sector, especially in relation to both innovation and research. And as you see, the vision is to create or make Abu Dhabi in particular, and our healthcare sector at large in UAE, a hub for international and up-to-date and state-of-the-art discoveries that can be implemented on our patient population with agility and also with access to everyone who needs it. So this is just a slide that shows you overall our vision, mission, and strategic objectives. I'm going to jump directly to, of course, the reason why we have initiated or at least established the Research and Innovation Center is because prior to the pandemic and also during the pandemic and even nowadays, we have several trends, mega trends that shaped up the entire nations as we navigated through the past decade. And in particular, when we speak about the pandemic and prior to the pandemic and after the pandemic, it is almost historic, and everyone relates to that. Whenever we speak of research, we say before the pandemic, I used to do 1, 2, 3, and then the pandemic hit, and we had really to restructure and change our pace in order to be up to date or on par with the rest of the world. And I think Abu Dhabi in particular, and of course UAE at large, demonstrated as a government, both as government and also as healthcare regulator, how agile we were and how quickly we were or we have become, and how quickly we matured into adopting and looking at new aspects of both infectious diseases and other diseases. And of course, Professor Bassam earlier spoke of CRISPR-Cas system in his own research. And I think gene editing technology has been introduced into our healthcare sector, specifically in relation to certain known diseases. And certain drugs have been already tried on some of our patients and successfully gain function, rather than, especially with the rare eye diseases. So again, the reason why we have come to this level of maturity is simply because we need to keep up. Otherwise, we will be left behind. And I think as a result of our numerous and extensive activities, we have been able to attract top-notch research scientists from around the world to even talk to us and consider our healthcare sector and our healthcare facilities and our patient population, knowing that, of course, if you look across the room, UAE is a nation that houses or harbors more than almost 200 nationalities from a variety of ethnic backgrounds and experiences. So as a result, it would create almost an opportune clinical research perspective as far as patient population and trying to use our patient population for latest clinical research. So that's one of the things that we've been able to do. And in addition to that, we have been also actively engaged with biotech companies, pharma companies, and if somebody is following the DOH activities, you will very much notice that we have been in active engagement with, for example, Sanofi, GSK, and other pharma companies and top-notch biotech companies in order to introduce them to our healthcare sector, not for any reason except to encourage them to be part of our overall ecosystem that encourages research and actually promotes research. And one additional thing, a third element that I would like to highlight, that Abu Dhabi in particular, last year, we have introduced a funding system for our clinical research. And the funding system states or necessitates that our healthcare facilities within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi are engaged in research and top-notch research to be funded. And this resulted in numerous research activities that have been awarded. And I think last week we celebrated the awarding of the grants and also the awardees themselves in the presence of our chairman. So the research topics ranged from specifically looking at cellular level, looking at the endothelial cells, similar to Professor Bassam's research, the root causes of cardiovascular diseases and endothelial cell degeneration, looking at the genetic makeup and trying to change those abnormal genes in order to create or at least look for an opportunity where we can treat people. And that's on the smallest scale. Of course, on a larger scale, using AI and using Internet of Medical Things and using the state of technology for data analytics in order to look at trends and mega trends of our disease history in Abu Dhabi and in UAE. I think this is just a list of our top areas of research where disease priority areas and research areas on the right-hand side. And if you see yourself or you can partner with some of our healthcare facilities or some of our institutes of higher education within Abu Dhabi, please, we encourage you and anyone else to apply for our funding system and to apply for clinical research to be implemented within our healthcare sector. For example, just not we're looking at big data analytics, and we're looking at anything that has to do with genetic editing or gene editing technologies, and also, of course, other aspects that are state of the art. And I think, again, the pandemic demonstrated that UAE is very much well equipped to carry out very specific phase 3 trials involving thousands of patients, not only locally, but also on an international, on a regional and international basis. And we have been able to publish, of course, when I say we, I mean the researchers and clinicians who were engaged in such phase 3 trial activity were able to publish in the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, BMJ, British Medical Journal, and also in Nature, journal Nature. So if this tells us anything, that our work is just very much on par and in parallel to, and if not sometimes much better than our peers and counterparts in other continents. And we are, again, encouraging everyone to take part and to participate and to collaborate with our healthcare facilities in order to expand our current clinical research activities. I think I'm just going to go over some numbers, but I think they're not listed here. I apologize for that. But anyway, the way we have been able to handle our research proposals, we try to limit the ones that are going to be presented to a centralized committee within the Abu Dhabi healthcare regulation system to certain areas like genetic diseases and things that may require multi-center and multinational level activity, and thirdly, anything that has to do with the genomics. And knowing that our Emirati Genome Project or Emirati Genome Program has been kicked off not too long ago, I think the latest numbers that I've been exposed to would be 380 to close to 400,000 samples from the Emirati population have been already collected, and they are being analyzed as we speak. So this is a wealth and an ocean of information that people can utilize in order to go further and dig deeper into our genetic makeup to do even predictive analytics and so on and so forth in order to understand our propensity for disease in the future. What we do is we have a centralized committee, and some members that are in the room are part of our centralized committee. They do review, they go over the proposals in order to see their feasibility, their ethical issues, and then of course the final approval will be granted within less than, I would say, 8 days maximum, 2 weeks at the longest. And those are for the areas that I outlined earlier. However, other areas can be done on a facility-based level or institution-based level, and we keep track of all of these different research activities quantitatively and qualitatively. We do have our own website, Research and Innovation Center website, where we list all of our healthcare facilities that are engaged in research and what type of research and who the PI is and their email system, so you can contact them directly if you are interested in any areas that they are engaged in. And rare disease, of course, coming down to our today's topic, is a hot area and actually is a very much prioritized area of research that we look at. And we do pay close attention to that simply because there is a flagship program dedicated entirely from the Emirati Genome Project to this rare disease that we have in our in UAE. And of course, this is led by Dr. Fatma Jismi, I think, who I know she's present in this gathering. I think this concludes what I have to say as far as regulation. I'm not here, I'm a scientist, my background is neuroscience, so I really enjoyed when Dr. Bassam was actually explaining the signaling pathways, which is something that actually intoxicates me mentally and biologically. And I think I'm here at this stage only to give you the purely regulative viewpoint, but I'm willing to answer any questions, and if you have any further clarification, I'll be happy to entertain them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hammadi. So we have time for maybe 1 or 2 quick questions to Dr. Hammadi.
Yes. Sure. No questions?
So I have a question.
Sure.
So for applicants, they can just go to your website and everything is there, like when it's the openings and the requirements and everything.
So I think I forgot to say, I mentioned at the beginning that we did have a funding program that was launched last year, and only, of course, in the innovation and research aspect. And 8 top-notch of our clinicians within our healthcare sector have been awarded. Some of them already have within their own healthcare facility a clinical trial unit that is very much dedicated to all kinds and types of research that you can imagine. So this year, it will be announced shortly. I don't have a particular time, but I know that we have much more opportunities this year. But for any applicant to apply for funding, he or she has to liaise with either an institute of higher education like UAE University, Khalifa University, that is present within the Abu Dhabi jurisdiction, and or any healthcare facilities that we license them. Licensed and operating within our healthcare sector. This has not been automated yet, but it is in the pipeline that we are going to make sure that all of the application process goes through an automated, online electronic system where only you get feedback each step of the way until you are announced if you are an awarded person or not. So that's as far as research.
Again, I want to thank Dr. Rasheed Al Hammadi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.